Many years ago when I was in yeshiva, one of the rabbis taught us the laws that apply to hosts and guests. Very interesting. If there's only one pillow in the house or one steak available, they go to the guest. A host has an obligation to treat his guests very, very nicely. And similarly, guests have obligations. If the host asks a guest to do something, the guest has to say yes. Unless the host asks a guest to leave, then the guest can decline, because a host can't kick a guest out. Sure enough, a few days later, a few of us were having a Shabbos meal right near the apartment where that rabbi lived. So after the meal, we went to visit him, and he welcomed us warmly, put out some snacks, and we were hanging out for a while. And eventually it got late. It was after midnight. The rabbi said, "Okay, guys, it's pretty late. Time to turn in." To which we immediately replied, "1 second, Rabbi, are you suggesting that we leave? You know, there's a law that guest does not have to listen to a host who tells him to leave." And he made a face like, "Oh, why did I have to teach that law to these clowns?" So we stayed another 10 minutes or so, kidding around, and then we left. That was a joke, but sometimes it comes up for real. Last week I was in Toronto speaking at an event, and it was hosted in a beautiful penthouse apartment. At the end of the event, one of the attendees came up to me and he said, "Let's have a l'chaim together." And I said, "Listen, I have to politely decline. I'm not a whiskey drinker. The only alcohol I drink is red wine. Please don't take any offense." He said, "No problem, no offense." About 15 minutes later, before I left, the host came over to me and said, "Hey, let's make a l'chaim." I said, "Sure, just pour me a little bit." So he poured me a small shot. I have the glass. While the host was pouring himself, the first guy came running over, took me aside and said, "What's going on? I ask you for l'chaim, you say no. He asks you for one, you say yes. What am I, chopped liver?" I said, "You're not chopped liver, but you're a fellow guest. If a guest asks me something, I can decline. If a host asks me something, I have to say yes." He said, "Oh, I didn't know that." So he poured himself a shot. We all had a l'chaim together. Why am I telling you stories about guests? Because guests are very important on the Sukkot holiday. We're told, Kabbalistically, that every night of Sukkot, the Ushpizin, the incredibly honored 7 guests, come to visit every sukkah. Who are they? 7 of the greatest people in Jewish and world history. The patriarchs, Avram, Yitzhak, and Yaakov. Yosef, Moshe and Aaron, and King David, David HaMelech. Interestingly, each one of the Ushpizin had an episode in his life when he had to leave his home. So they come to visit us on the holiday when we leave our home, when we're out in the sukkah. But there's more than that. Imagine how proud those Ushpizin are. 7 people who spent their lives looking out for the needs of others. When they walk into our sukkah and they see not just us and our families and maybe some friends, but they see other guests, poor people, widows, orphans, people who didn't have a sukkah of their own. They must be so proud of us when they see that. And they must be so not proud if they see that the only people there are our families or our friends. Where are the poor? Where are the downtrodden? Where are the less fortunate? So hopefully, just knowing that the Ushpizin are going to come visit us will propel us, motivate us to pick up the phone. There's still time before Sukkot to call someone up who can use that invite, who needs that invite, who doesn't have a sukkah, and ask them, "Will you be my guest this Sukkot?"